I'm Neal, everybody. If you need to find me on Facebook or someplace like that, you'll have to look me up under Neal G. Brownell, G as in Glenn. Other than that, everywhere else I'm Neal. You call me. As you know, first, let me go here, the quotes. Did you notice the quotes over here?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, did you look at the fact that almost none of them are famous people? Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the reason that we did that, because we wanted to show that you can learn from anywhere, absolutely anywhere. And I'm hoping tonight, after we get done with the timeline, I have proven that to you, if you don't know it already, okay? As you know, I wrote a book called You're Amazing, and I'll Prove It. I never thought I'd write a book, ever, not even once. Tonight, I want to ask three main questions. What we're going to ask all the way through. Have some fun, everybody. Smile. There's too much tension in the room. Smile. Okay. So we're going to put this up. I want to show you tonight how the book came about. What happened in my life to make me write this book, and then what caused me to actually sit down and start writing. It goes back to when I was first born in 1958. All of us are going through time together, every last one of us. And something happens to you in order to make you who you are. And as you go through, things change, and you see things a little bit differently. So I want to show you how I made my decisions back when I was born, back when I was 11 years old, back when I was 19 years old, and now, nobody's allowed to laugh at this, now that I'm 60. Okay? All right. We're going to start with 1959. When something happens to you, it doesn't necessarily happen to anybody else. So you got to kind of show them what's going on. So when I was born, this is actually a picture of me at 1.5. Okay? So you realize that anything that happened to me at this age, I'm not looking at it through a 60-year-old man's eyes. I'm looking at it through a young boy's eyes. Okay? Now, anytime when you're born or passing through life, there's certain things that are going on in the world that are affecting you at that time, but it's not, you take it for granted. A lot of people, young people especially, right? Because you don't realize how short things are. So what was going on with technology in 1958? In 1958, there was a product that was on the market that had been on the market for, 10, 15 years or so, but it was expensive and it didn't work very good, and so not many people had it at that time. It doesn't actually become mainstream in everybody's house until about 1962. Okay? So in 1962, what product am I talking about that was really new on the market? That's the television. Okay? So this is part of what affected my way of thinking. Beatster might want to come over and hang these up. If you'd like, you can. Would you like to do that? That's her nickname, Beatty. Anybody watch Buck Rogers? Some of the older people, Buck Rogers? You're not allowed to laugh when I say older people. There's a little robot on that goes beady, 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 and then talks, right? Well, when I first met her, I told her she was my sweetie beady beady, and it kind of stuck. So she's my beady. All right, leave them up for me. Okay. All right. Just 2 years before 1958, there was a product that came on the market that affected kids for the rest of history at this point. Throughout, ever since 1956, this product has been in almost every home. Okay? And that product is Play-Doh. Okay? So Play-Doh came out, and at this point, almost all of you have played with Play-Doh. Thanks for this. One last thing I want to tell you about 1958 before we move on to another year, and that is, we take for granted, like I said, the things that we have in our life to the point that we don't even think that it didn't exist at one time. And at this point, in 1958, people actually, some of them did not have an indoor bathroom. They still had outhouses. And the reason I know that is because my parents had friends that we used to visit, and I had to use it, which wasn't fun. But the first question out of these three questions that I want to ask actually happened in 1978. And in 1978, I was 19 years old. And this is the way I looked then. I was a senior in high school. Okay? See this? Ah, ha, ha. She's too short. She's too short. There you go. Now you can do this, right? In 1978, what was going on? What was going to influence people at that point? Well, disco was in. Want to take a look at that picture? Now, you're allowed to laugh, because people actually did show up looking like this. Not just the nightclubs, but they showed up at school. And yeah, I did too. But I couldn't find a picture of me, so I had to use a picture of this gentleman. And at that point, I wanted to tell you that in my outfit I looked good. Really. Okay, one last thing about 1978 that I wanted to let you know. Just 2 years prior to 1978, there was a product, well, it was a little startup company that started up, put out this product. All the experts told us that this product was worthless. It was never going to go anywhere. Who would ever want it? And in 1978 was the first time that I ever saw one of them. And I was just like the experts. At that point, I told myself, who's ever going to use that? That's insane. And that was the Apple computer. I may have been wrong about it. Okay, that brings us to our first question that I want to ask tonight out of the three main questions that we're going to ask. And where is my... Thank you. Thank you. We've got a picture here of two trees. One of them, big, beautiful, green, leafy tree. The other one is a scrawny, little, scraggly tree. Both these trees are fully grown trees. I want you tonight not to talk to anybody, not to yell out any answers right now, because we're going to explore this a little bit later. But this is the first question that we're going to ask. And that is, which one of these trees is better? Is the big, green, beautiful, leafy tree better than the short, scrawny tree? So we'll explore that in just a little while. Yes, my lady. She's yelling at me. Never bring your wife to a presentation. Okay, the second question out of the three main questions that I want to ask tonight also happened in 1978. I want to ask you how you feel about a boy who shows up to the basketball courts, gets on a team, puts his hands in his pockets, and then walks up and down the court while everybody else plays. So that's the second question that I want to ask. The side goes on treatment. Oh, I drew this, by the way. Okay? The third question that I want to ask tonight, the main question, happened in 1969. In 1969, I was 11 years old. You can laugh. You can laugh. Come on. Come on. Okay, everybody see that? I was 11 years old. So any decisions that I'm going to make is through this young boy's eyes. Anything that happens to him, he's going to see it this way, just like you see it at the age you are now. And my Vee can hang this up. I should have married a tall one. Now you can do the other one, sweetness. Oh, you got all sorts of adrenaline flowing here. All right, 1969. What was going on in 1969? Some of the adults might be able to get this, but so don't answer. All right? Maybe some of the kids. 1969 was one of the most famous years in all of human history. Can anybody tell me why? Go ahead. Anybody?
I believe it was the moon landing.
The moon landing.
I told you.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's awesome. The moon landing. It was the first time we ever landed on the moon at that Moselle. Well, obviously, that's really, really cool. I mean, that's just absolutely awesome. But one of the things that happened is that it's even more awesome for me. And that's because my parents actually worked for the company that made the Saturn V rockets. So because they worked for that company, as a young boy, I had the opportunity to go through the plants and see these rockets being made. Absolutely amazing. 30 stories tall, the most powerful machines ever built. Well, you can see I was really into the space program. So I'm just a little boy, so I'm going to see it through a little boy's eyes. So what did we do? So what did we do? We played astronaut. Okay, of course, I didn't look like this when I played astronaut. I look like this. Okay? Okay, 1969, I'm going to ask you the next question, the third and final main question that I want to ask tonight. I want to ask you how you feel about a student who is supposed to be in 7th grade, but they're only in 5th grade. And I was able to get a hold of this pages from a notebook. It's fine. This is an actual page from a student that's supposed to be in 7th grade. They're only in 5th grade. And they're doing this kind of work. There's 27 words on this page. Most of them are 1 and 2 letters, sometimes 3 letters. And out of 27 words, 9 of them are spelled wrong. Sticking with the same question that I haven't really asked yet, the fact of how do you feel about this student? This is also a page from this student. Again, he's supposed to be in 7th grade. The student is only in 5th grade, and they're doing this kind of work. As you can tell, right here, they're practicing their ABCs. In 5th grade, that's 1st grade work. They're practicing 5, 10, 15, counting by 5s. That's 1st grade work. So how do you feel about this student that is in 5th grade, supposed to be in 7th, doing 1st grade work? these are the three main questions that influenced me writing this book. One, which one of these trees is better? The other is, how do you feel about this boy who shows up at the courts, gets on a team, puts his hands in his pockets, and walks up and down while everybody else plays? The third and last question is, how do you feel about a student who does first grade work in 5th grade and they're supposed to be in 7th? And where do I go for this? Thank you. That brings us right back to the book.